Welcome back to another Bear Show. I'm Ivan Vargas. Before we get started, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Tape Never Lies Network. Make sure you become a patron today at www.thetapeneverlies.com. And it is a special day to become a patron because DDP will be kicking off the offseason in special fashion. You'll be getting, as he calls it, Chapter 1, the Oklahoma tape of Caleb Williams live for our patrons on our patron channel. So it behooves you to become a patron today at www.thetapeneverlies.com. I'll be coming up right after this. I'll be keeping it a condensed show so everybody has time to do what they have to do. Become a patron if you're not a patron. And if you are a patron, obviously prepare yourself for a great show. Right after this, on the Tape Never Lies patron channel, DDP breaking it down as only he can. But there's other Bears news, and I want to go ahead and get to that. So the Bears went ahead and signed a defensive coordinator, completing the coaching search so far. I mean, obviously, they're going to be bringing in their own assistants, specialty coaches, and stuff like that. So the main guys, the coordinating search has been finalized with the signing of Eric Washington. I almost said Eric Williams for some reason. With the signing of Eric Washington as a defensive coordinator, and Eric Washington has actually been in the Chicago Bears organization before. He has a long coaching history dating back to 1997 when he started at Texas A&M as an assistant coach. And actually, let me go ahead and bring up the coaching history so you guys can view that with me. And here we go. So, yeah, as you can see, 1997, Texas A&M as an assistant. 2001, I guess he left coaching for a little bit, but 2001, a coaching assistant again at Ohio for the next 2 or 3 years. Then he becomes an assistant or a defensive line coach at Northwestern for 4 years. I believe that was could have been under Randy Walker. I'm not sure. I have to look back at Northwestern coaching history, but he was there in the early 2000s at Northwestern all the way up until my graduation year of high school in 2007 at Northwestern. And then he got a job with the Chicago Bears as an assistant defensive line coach and defensive line coach for 3 years under Lovie Smith. And he got to work, and you'll see as I continue on with his coaching resume, he gets to work with a lot of well-known pass rushers, a lot of defensive talent especially on the defensive line side of things. So he comes well seasoned. He's been to a Super Bowl with the Panthers, and as I continue on with the resume, then he goes on to Carolina, and he's with Carolina. His tenure with the Carolina Panthers was the longest of his career so far. He was there from 2011 to 2019, went from a defensive line coach, and then in 2018 became the defensive coordinator, 2019 the defensive coordinator, and then moved on and became the defensive line coach for the Buffalo Bills for 3 years, and a defensive line coach and assistant head coach this final season. I'm looking at team stats. I'm looking at production from defensive linemen, and to be honest with you, it's there. There's definitely times where you could see maybe a lack of talent and injuries hindered what his teams could do. But there are definitely bright spots as far as defensive line play is concerned as a whole. So, I mean, he was on the Panthers team with 60 sacks, Panthers team with 50 sacks. Basically majority of his work with the Carolina Panthers was really, really good as far as defensive line play is concerned. Then you move on to Buffalo, and he gets to work with guys like Von Miller and continues on with some success. There are some, grumblings. There are going to be some nitpickers, especially with, when you're looking at it as a Bills fan, from a Bills fan's perspective, they are going to go ahead and nitpick and say maybe certain things didn't happen as quickly as they wanted them to. Maybe they weren't able to get to the quarterback as much as they wanted or be as disruptive as they wanted. But this year was one of the better years that the Bills' defensive line has had, going from 38 sacks when he came to the Buffalo Bills. They had a 13-3 season in 2020, but only 38 sacks to 54 sacks this past season. As the Bills were a better defense, especially with their, as far as their defensive line was concerned. So you saw progression there. Maybe it was slow progression, but you saw how he was able to develop the Buffalo Bills, and you saw his work with the Carolina Panthers as well. And like I said, he's been able to work with talented pass rushers, Von Miller. He's worked with Adewale Ogunleye. I think there's with the Bears. I think he worked with Adewale Ogunleye. I think he worked with Peppers as well, Julius Peppers, both on the Bears and I believe on the Carolina Panthers, if I'm not mistaken. So he's been around quality talent, and he's gotten some of the better years out of his talent, out of the talent that he's had. I believe Greg Hardy, if you guys remember Greg Hardy when he was on the Panthers, I think he had one of, if not the best year of his career while working with Eric Washington. So we'll see what happens. I really think that the Bears are trying to find guys that are familiar with what they're doing, right? As far as defense is concerned. So guys that are, not going to have to be learning on the job as far as coaching is concerned. So I feel like, Eric Washington is going to be a decent pickup for us. I guarantee you his main focus is going to be defensive line, regardless of the coordinator status. I believe that you will still see Matt Eberflus having a heavy hand as far as the play calling is concerned on defense come next season. I don't hate this pickup. I really don't. I think he's coming into a defensive team that's young, that's willing to learn, that's eager to get better. And, after this past season, they saw progression in themselves. I'm sure they still need to, grow as a team. They still need to grow as a unit, and they need to continue to add playmakers. If I'm Eric Washington, I would be advocating for more pass rushing help, obviously. But I think it takes three, right? You have Montez Sweat. I don't know what's going to happen with Yannick Ngakoue. You have Montez Sweat. I think you need two more, right? Maybe go ahead and get a veteran guy in free agency and push for a younger pass rusher, whether it be, early in the draft or later in the draft. I feel like three is the number nowadays. It's not just two, because you're going to be rotating guys. You got to have another guy that's hungry out there. I know people made fun of some of the things that Eberflus has said about defensive linemen and stuff like that. About having cornerbacks, and defensive linemen. But I believe that defensive line rotation is going to be huge again this season. So why not add a third guy who's lethal, or at least a young guy who you can mold into the player that you want to be. Before I keep going, let me go ahead and jump into this chat room. What's up, guys? Coach Dre, what's up, brother? How are you? I hope you're doing all right. HD, I do not love Taylor Swift. I see that you do, which is freaking nuts. Let's see who else is in here. Bullets, what's going on, brother? Lucas, how are you? Good to see you too. Mike, what's going on? Flus is calling plays. Oh, yeah, I totally believe that. Progression playing, not playoff teams. Was that progression playing, not playoff teams? All due respect, Ivan, you're severely underrating this hire. This is way better than decent. It's a great hire. It's a decent hire because I want to see what he does with this team, right? I mean, he has a good track record But you come in here and you fall flat on your face, then all this means nothing to me. So for right now, it looks like they got the right guy. I don't, hate that they passed on, Chris Harris. I know I was talking about Chris Harris last week, but they got a guy who's definitely, uh, uh, has the resume and the credentials to be a defensive coordinator. And you would imagine that the defensive line, first and foremost, is going to take a big step sooner rather than later. If they're working with two defensive minds in a guy like Eberflus, and now you're going to work with a guy who's who's going to be a coordinator, but has a great track record as a defensive line specialist, right? As a defensive line coach, focusing in on defensive line play. And some of the issues that we've had and some of the uh, problems that we've complained about time and time again is the lack of the pass rush. Yeah, Montez Sweat helped. The lack of Yannick Ngakoue, when he got the injury, that was huge for us. That was definitely a big negative. But you need more, and you have younger guys on that line in Pickens and in Dexter, and I'm sure you're going to go ahead and try to find some more that need to be coached up by a high quality defensive line coach. So for me, if you're going to have Eberflus focus on linebackers and secondary, and you're working together with Eric Washington with the linebackers and with the defensive line, I'm all for it. And I'm sure Eric is going to be hands on with the coverage too. But it's going to be, in my opinion, his job to get this defensive line firing at all cylinders come next season, regardless of uh, regardless of who's going to be calling the plays or not. That's going to be his focus because it's his specialty. All right, let's go ahead and jump out of here. Yeah, a lot of what I saw, with the Bears this past season was just missing in certain spots on defense. Just missing, whether it be getting to the quarterback, just missing whether it be interceptions or missing out on fumble recoveries. I'm hoping that we do see the continued progression that we saw this past offseason or this past season, at least in the second half. But if you're not going to go ahead and reach out and get help on the defensive line, which you're going to need, I know we have Sweat, like I'd mentioned before, and helping that back end of the secondary. Eddie Jackson, in my opinion, thank you for your service. It's time for you to move on. I want a younger, stronger, maybe even a veteran. Maybe it doesn't necessarily have to be a rookie coming in, but maybe there's a veteran safety out there who can either be a stopgap or you can really utilize in your defense at least for a period of time. So for me, I'm looking for the Bears to go after a quality back end safety and move on from Eddie Jackson. I think that's the biggest concern, in my opinion, other than adding another pass rusher, two pass rushers on the defensive line. I like the cornerback depth. I like where the cornerbacks are progressing to. Jalen Johnson showed me something. He's obviously had to have shown people out there in Bears land something this past season. Is he worth $20+ million? I'm not sure, but I know I know you damn well better figure out how to keep him. All right, is it going to be the Bears back and forth shortchanging him? I don't know. What number is it going to be? I would say it's going to be flirting with 20. Whether it's above that or not, that'll be totally up to Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears, but he deserves a contract and he needs to be a fixture on this defense. You saw the talent in Stevenson, you saw the talent in Smith. So I'm looking for them to really hone in on some of these young guys, like hone in on their talent, make sure they really drill in discipline in their coverages, discipline in what they do. Like if you look at what San Francisco did in the second half last night, right? If you look at what they did in the second half, where they were beaten the first half, they adjusted, and then they were just very, very disciplined but violent when it came to defensive play, and they pretty much shut down the Lions for the second half. Like that. That's where I want this team to go. That's where I want these younger guys, especially in the secondary, to progress to. Is like that, but all the time, not just for one half, because I'm sure San Francisco fans were scared shitless when Detroit was putting a whooping on them in the first half. But you play 4 quarters, and obviously they did not. But going back to the Bears, it's very exciting now that the coaching search is complete. Like I had mentioned before, Shane Waldron, the OC, Eric Washington, the DC. You have a Hightower as the special teams coach being retained. Matt Eberflus, I don't believe these are his guys, but these are the best. These are the best guys out there that you could have asked for the Bears to go after to support him in in this next season, and I guess maybe his entire contract, because I don't think you could fire another 2 coaches without having yourself be removed next season. Like this next season for the Bears, for Matt Eberflus, for Ryan Poles, and maybe a little less Ryan Poles. I know we're talking about him being married to Matt Eberflus now, where it's do or die. This is your guy. I still think he gets a little leeway, even if it doesn't, if it doesn't find success right away. But I don't know if the Bears can come out of the gate, or if the Bears start half the season and they're in the dumps, they have one or 2 games in the win column, and they're struggling again on offense. They've kept Justin Fields, or even if they've kept Caleb Williams and it's not working, you're going to see the frustration of the Chicago Bears fans. You're gonna feel the pressure, because you came out here, you came in front of us all and pretty much said, all right, Matt's our guy, period. We just need to fix this offensive play calling issue, and maybe get a little more help for Matt as a head coach on defense. Get somebody that could help on a specific part of the defense, so Matt could focus on another part of the defense and potentially play calling. I'm okay with all that, but if it doesn't fucking work, then they've insulated you with everything that they possibly could, including a second chance when a lot of people thought you should have been removed. It's do or die time. So next season is a playoff or bust season, in my opinion. I don't think that these hirings are terrible whatsoever. Actually, I think they are good, decent hirings. But I want to see it play out. I want to see what happens out on the football field. How do you get your players to execute what you want, and how do you make adjustments, particularly in Shane Waldron, to your players, whoever it may be at quarterback, whoever you feel is going to be the starting running back, receiver, so on and so forth. You're going to have some, big games coming up soon on the college level. You're going to have the Senior Bowl. You're going to have the East-West Shrine game. You're going to have a bunch of draft events coming up soon. So I kudos to the Bears for, solidifying their search. There's still teams out there looking. I think that if they were one of those teams that is, struggling to find a guy, I would be more worried about what's going to happen come next season, especially if it was on offense. If, let's say, the offensive search dragged on and they were going to 4th and 5th or 6th guys that they've interviewed, then I'd be really worried. But they got what I feel like is probably the number one guy, probably was the number one guy on a lot of teams lists out there. So I'm gonna feel a little more comfortable there. I want to see, like I said before, how he molds this offense into what he wants. But like once again, utilize his players' skill set to the best of their abilities. Let's not try to fit square pegs into round holes. All right, it's just not what I want to see. Uh, very happy that there's nobody from the NFC Central winning the Super Bowl. I'm hoping, or Central, the NFC North, old NFC Central that had the Bucks in it, but the NFC North didn't win the Super Bowl this season. Do I want the Bears? Do I care? Do I see the Bears taking a jump like a Detroit, like a Green Bay next season? Yes, but it's again, it all falls on the quarterback. It all falls on the quarterback. Where are you going to, or how are you going to either? And I know people are going to be like, well, no, not Justin Fields. But how are you going to either fix Justin Fields, or how are you going to mold Caleb Williams into being an NFL quarterback? Both are potential, right? That's why I have both of them on the promo picture on the at the beginning of the show. Both are an option. I know it scares a lot of people, but both are an option. So let's just take it as that. Real quick, Nano CBD question to Ivan: do you see the great play Vildor made? Oh, when Kendall Vildor went up for that bomb, dude, I was like, oh man, he might have an interception. And then I was like, okay, he didn't intercept it. Maybe it's just gonna fall away. But as soon as you see my guy extend for it, I was in shock. Like I just couldn't believe it. It was funny as hell. I felt bad for Vildor, but it was funny as hell because it was one of those like little giant moments. You know what I mean? Like it just the ball's coming and bang right off your face. It sucks, but it was kind of funny at the same time. I'll tell you that it sucks, like I said, but funny in my opinion, and not on my team. If it happened to the Bears, I'd be pissed off. There's gonna be they're gonna be just fine with Caleb. 10-7. 10-7 wins, Mike. Is that what you're telling me with Caleb? Is that what you're saying? Let me know. Daniel Bush, if they're going to grab Caleb, not sure after that. But we have to sit back and watch what Poles does this year. I think it's like I said, I think Poles is definitely under a microscope. But I don't know if he's truly in trouble. I think it's more or less like, all right, this is strike two and not strike one. It's more like you have another shot, but buddy, you need to get this going because making those grandiose claims of taking the North and never giving it back, you got to stand on that, man. Like you can't just come into Chicago, make those claims, and then your team doesn't perform up to that. Because people are going to call bullshit real quick. And I don't believe that Ryan Poles is a bullshitter. I don't think he's a terrible GM. But sometimes, your emotions or maybe your friendships could get you in trouble. And if Matt Eberflus doesn't get this going, if he fails to develop, if you again fail to develop a quarterback, this is the NFL. It's a business. Things happen, and even the best people get fired, right? The best people could get fired, and I don't want that for Ryan Poles. I wish him all the best. I want the Bears to succeed. This isn't me trying to say, "Oh, Brian's a piece of crap." No, it's just the reality. It's just the reality of what he's done, the decisions that he's made, and it's got to be understood that way. So yeah. So wins Mike 7-10. Okay, yeah, that's what you said, right? 10-7, 10-7. I'm one win less than that. I'm at 9-8. Uh, Again, things shit happens. The Bears could steal one. The ball could roll their way, a bunch of times. They can overachieve. We've seen a lot of overachieving. I know 2 years ago that Washington team, they were talking about overachievers and how they won their games and stuff like that. So you could luck into a bunch of games. I just want to see there being games where the Bears are in control start to finish, or where the Bears, are fighting to make adjustments, but they ended up making the right ones in the second half or something, and they come out on top. I need to see real progression. I can't just see, one drive here, one drive there. Oh man, they look good in the last 4 or 5 fucking games. No, I need to see it from whistle to whistle. I need to see it from game one. Hell, I need to see it at training camp. You know, Yurko from Carmen and Yurko was talking about how he went to, he was there at the training camp, and he was just watching how it was operating, and it was just, in his words, he said it on his show. It's pretty pathetic, right? And I was there, and I'm like, obviously, I can't see, because once again, like I tell you guys this all the time, we're a football field away, width wise, right? Plus, so we're a football field away. You can walk along the barrier and get somewhat towards the field, but then you're at field level, can't really see anything of quality up top. It's very frustrating getting a vibe of what's going on out there, with that distance being where it is. It's really hard to get an understanding of how the coaches are coaching with that distance and with that those barriers right there. And I'm not saying let us go walk on the fucking field, but maybe you should just instead of having your 11 on 11s a football field away, maybe keep it in front of the crowd. Make sure it stays there so they can see the Chicago Bears, and they can, assess for themselves the progression or lack thereof, or what they, anything. Like, that should be available to them, and not just, available, but at a cost. It should just be right there in front of them. But I agree, if the Bears aren't aggressive, and I'm not saying go light motherfuckers up, but you got to be way more aggressive than you were this training camp to game one to the final fucking game, right? Whatever it may be. That you need to have the most extreme sense of urgency, because I feel like guys' jobs are on the line. Period. This season. Guys, again, don't forget to check out DDP right after this. I'm going to be talking maybe a couple more minutes here with you guys. I want to go and make sure that you have enough time to, like I said, become a patron today at www.thetapeneverlies.com. Or if you're a patron, get your snacks, get your beer, do whatever you got to do to prepare, because and you're damn sure I'll be there, because it's going to be a very, very good show tonight that DDP is going to offer up on our Patreon channel. Join our Patreon channel today. An unproven rookie would definitely destroy any rebuild. We must trade the pick and acquire more premium talent. It's a no-brainer. I mean, are you? I don't know. Are you questioning this, or you telling me this? I don't understand. But like, either way, if you're telling me this, King George, okay, I see your side of things. But do you see the type of jump from Justin Fields that you wanted to see? Did you see the progression that you needed from a quarterback that you need in his coming up third year? And I know people want, I agree with the shitty first year, right? But we're moving on year 3, year 4. There's still these questions. Do you think that it's safe to say we are 100% okay with not going after a guy if Ryan Poles thinks he's that talented, right? In my eyes, I think he's talented, and half the the scouts think he's that talented. Obviously, the Bears need to go see him. Are they going to do it again after having the first pick last season, seeing how CJ Stroud progressed? And I'm not saying that Bryce Young probably couldn't have progressed like CJ Stroud, but you had opportunities to grab QB talent when you knew you were struggling at quarterback. You still had the questions with Justin Fields, and yet you didn't want to. You gave him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think you could do that again. I don't think you could afford it. I think you have to take a shot at one of these guys. And if you trade down, you're gonna have quarterback competition, right? If you trade down and let's say you have what's my guy from LSU, the Heisman winner, Jesus, just leaving me right now. But let's say you grab him, right? Justin's gonna have to compete with him. And if he's not the guy, and Justin's not the guy, then we're screwed. But I'm not trying to be scared here. I want to go after the guy that they say is number 1. Let's not play it like that. Like, I want to just go after the guy who is the top talent regardless. And if we have the number 1 pick and they all think it's Caleb Williams, my God, go after fucking Caleb Williams. Do I wish Justin ill will like some of these people? Some people want Justin's head, which is just fucking insane. Like the guy's he's a good guy. Like, he's a good leader. He's got all the intangibles. Is he a great quarterback? No. Mr. Man, do it. Do that, Daniels. Thank you, James Hunter Daniels. Mr. Mayhem, I'm not saying, and even you too, King Joe, I'm not saying fucking you guys are wrong. Okay, like, stand up for your guy, but think about what he's done and what he hasn't done, right? Even with some of the plays that are broken down, there are plenty of plays where the options are there and he never finds them. There are plenty of plays where his, technique as a quarterback causes him to delay, right? And boom, coverage is there all of a sudden. He did a better job protecting the football. I'll give him that. He did a better job protecting the football down the stretch. The ball did come out a little bit faster. But I don't think that's enough for me to say, hey, you know what? He's the bona fide number 1 guy. He needs to stay. We need to trade the pick and move on. I don't see it. And like I said before, I'm a Justin fan. See, Mike as well. I love Justin. But is the first pick? Yeah, it's the first pick, dude. Like, it is what it is. Cuthbert, keeping Justin now would be business malpractice 101. Sorry, it's a fact. I don't disagree. Bullets. Can you really question JF1's jump when he clearly called out coaching and play calling was atrocious? Bubble screen, shotgun. Yeah, but there was a lot, like I said before, there's shit play calling, and then there's execution problems. They go hand, like, those things were pretty much hand in hand. The issues, like, you would see times where the play would be there, guys open, Justin's not pulling the trigger, staring at him, not pulling the trigger. Then there will be, games where you have 25 fucking screens from Luke Getsy, and Phil said it all year. They don't trust the quarterback. They don't trust the quarterback. I don't think the quarterback trusts the coordinator. He obviously told them that, or and maybe not lack of trust. Maybe he just frustration at what is not happening with their offense. Uh, Justin has a lot to take on the blame too. It's not just Luke Getsy. Luke Getsy might have gotten fired, but Justin Fields is in the same. He right now he's in limbo because you can't really give your hand, right? I wouldn't tip my hand at all until draft night, the night of the draft, as shit's going down. I wouldn't say a damn thing. So yeah, Justin's going to be the quarterback until draft night, and then I believe that they're going to go after Caleb Williams. But regardless of that, coaching plus execution, and it was very, very bad on offense. Very bad. Luke Getsy, he's in charge of the development. He's in charge of the play calling. And Justin Fields, he's in charge of executing said plays. And a lot of those plays didn't get executed. And a lot of those plays were poor. So it goes hand in hand, man. It goes hand in hand. They both were very bad last season. Let's see what we got. Joseph, tons of folks want to compare JF1 to Lamar. Lamar is way better, and he can beat better passing, and he can beat the better passing quarterback. Well, I mean, he didn't yesterday for whatever reason. I honestly, now that we talked about Lamar, I'll go ahead and give my 2 cents about that Ravens game. What the fuck? Like, and honestly, I'm not going in there saying like I hate the Kansas City Chiefs. I obviously hate the sideshow that's going on with the Kansas City Chiefs, but I don't hate the Chiefs. I don't hate Pat Mahomes, but you had them, Baltimore. You had them. You had an opportunity. You shut them out in the second half. You had them, and you beat yourself. Like, man, well, who's my guy? Flowers. Ugh. And you know they're gonna call that shit. You know they're gonna call that shit. Pushing off the leg. He wasn't twisting up your leg. You push off with the leg, spin the ball in his face, stand over. What the fuck do you think was gonna happen? And I'm sorry for the F-bombs, but it was just like, it was so egregious. I was just like, are you serious, bro? Like you thought you were gonna get away with that? Like that's what you do on a big play? I mean, you got to be more disciplined than that. And then on top of that, the fumble, and then you smack the bench and cut yourself, so you can't even be a factor until you fix that. Not being able to say, it was a lot of, even Lamar looked like he was second guessing himself. Like, I know they were shadowing him, but there were some times where I was like, man, Lamar, either dump it or go. Either dump it or go. Because he looked like a guy, like a deer in the headlights. It kind of looked like Justin a little bit. But with that being said, Lamar is way better. Like, Lamar wasn't helped out by his wide receiving crew. There was a lot of drops. Not going to sit here and make excuses for him. They got to be better. I don't see how they should have lost that game. It is what it is. But no, I don't think Lamar and Justin are comparable right now. Lamar has similar traits, obviously has similar struggles at times. But as far as talent, I think Lamar is just a better quarterback talent than Justin Fields. And he's been in the league for, he's a veteran NFL quarterback. Maybe if I'm looking at young Lamar Jackson, maybe we could compare. But if we're talking about him right now, there's just no comparison. Drew Black, that's right. That's right. The great ones can overcome a lot, and it's shit that you don't plan for, right? It's the unplanned that they find success in. I don't know how you could teach that. You can't really teach that. But what I'm looking for is a guy who's going to excel at everything and who's more complete at the quarterback position than Justin Fields. Because even when they drafted him, Matt Nagy did not want him to be the starter. It was Andy Dalton. I did not want him to be the starter. I wanted him to sit, wait a year, then we could go ahead and yeet Andy, and move on to Justin after that, after a year under his belt. Obviously, that didn't happen. You know what happened after that. Cleveland, so on and so forth, and here we are. Let's see who else we got here. Lamar choked big time. When the lean him inside the running game, forgot who they were, and went full Nagy. Yeah, that's 100% correct. Forgot who they were. Forgot who they were. Even on some of Lamar's runs, he didn't really look. I was questioning his health. He didn't look healthy, in my opinion. There's a couple of runs where I was like, oh man, he's going to get away. And obviously, there's guys are in the NFL for a reason. Everybody's fast. But, we all have seen Lamar's speed and his acceleration. And it didn't look like he was accelerating well. I know it was rainy. We were in the slop. So maybe that was a big factor. Who knows? It was a very ugly game for the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, that's all I can say. Very ugly. They kicked their own ass. Zay Flowers. That's what it was. Zay Flowers, inexperienced rookie mentality in the moment, screwed himself. And yeah, but like the slamming of the bench, and I get it. Like I've done some dumb shit too, right? But you gotta be under control. You gotta be under control because you break your fucking, especially with your hands as a receiver. You break your fucking hand, now you're done. In this case, you cut your hand, and now we got to go ahead and take care of this while your team's out there, fighting without you. It's just young, dumb mistakes. He's a good receiver. He's a good young receiver, but I'm gonna tell you, you look like a jackass. You look like a jackass out there. Better luck to you next season. Hopefully you make better decisions, especially in big spots like that. Jimmy K, 60% of the plays on the field are different from what they're called from the playmakers, the D. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Jimmy. Were we talking about the Ravens game? Were we talking about the Bears? King George. Fields isn't going anywhere. We should go 11-6 with a NFC North Division title to boot. You must be patient, fellas. Look, I'm like I said, this is where I'm at. Caleb Williams, right? If I'm wrong and Shane Waldron and Justin Fields are magic, you think I'm going to come in here and be like, oh, yeah, well, whatever, Justin Fields. No, I'm like, okay, I was wrong. Thank God the Bears are winning. You know what I mean? But I'll sit here and I'll admit I was wrong. But it's just, I've given him the benefit of the doubt, right? I've seen this show before where it's like, okay, I think he's just there. I think he's just about to get there. And I just don't think it's ever going to happen. And if it does happen, I think it's going to be with a team other than the Chicago Bears. 11-6 might be a stretch. I'm like I said, I know Mike said 10 wins. I have 10-7. I have 9-8. King George 11-6. Camel toe inspector. Apparently JF1 needs everything to be perfect around him to succeed. And that's another thing, Camel toe. Like that's exactly why I'm bothered by that. A line understandable, a great line understandable. But when guys are running wide open, right? There was an issue. There was a game, Eberflus's first year against the Packers, where Justin was. It was like he was able to make that throw, make the quick throw, quick decision throw, and they ended up intercepting the ball because St. Brown wasn't running his route. And I'm like, okay, if St. Brown keeps running, that ball's on the money. That's progress. Why did I see the exact opposite of that pretty much halfway through the season? Maybe even more. It was almost as if he didn't understand the plays that were being called at times. He was like, okay, boom, I'm here. You have protection. Where are you going? Where's your target? Where's your outlet? He still was struggling to realize that he had help on the dump. Still was struggling to release the ball when wide receivers are NFL open. Those are the things that were very frustrating for me when I'm sitting there and I'm watching Justin Fields' season and assessing it. It's incomplete. Like it's just not not good enough. Like I mentioned it before, it's just not good enough in my eyes. Christian, we have literally no proof that Justin Fields can win a game. We have seen proof that the defense can win. That's another issue late in games. Justin, terrible. I believe he's the worst fourth quarter quarterback. You can't have that. You have to be big time in the fourth quarter. You have to be able to trust guys in the fourth quarter. They have to be able to trust you. It just seems like Justin at times tries to do too much. And, like I said, the mechanics and I believe that first season that shell shocked them with how to operate are real issues. Is Justin dumb? No, I don't believe that whatsoever. But does he panic? I think Justin panics at times, and I think he tries to force the issue regardless. It's gotten, like I said, it gotten better with the turnovers, but even then, he's like extending the play, extending the play, extending the play. Eventually, you have to release. Or if you want to move fast, you want to be a quicker pace offense, you have to, recognize that you have nothing and take the dump and get what you can. There's been plenty of times where receivers and tight ends have been open in the flat, have released, and have been, 10 yards away from the nearest guy because Justin isn't throwing to him, and they know that. It's just it is what it is. Like I said, I would root for Justin if he comes back and they're like, yeah, we're going with Justin again. I'm gonna root for him. I'm not gonna say I won't be pissed, but I'm not gonna just dog him completely out the gates. There will be criticism. Don't believe me, and there'll be criticism with Caleb Williams as well if he comes out and does things that are under par. It is what it is, man. You just have to take it as it comes as a Chicago Bears fan. We find success with Eric Washington, our new DC. Awesome. But we have to see it on the field. We find success with Justin Fields. Awesome. I'm down. I'm happy about the hire. I'd be happy if they keep him. But if he doesn't succeed, now we're in an entirely different boat. Now we're in an entirely different boat. I think you did well by identifying a backup. I don't know whether it's going to be a second string backup or a third string backup in Tyson Bagent. He obviously could come in and fill in. I think you need to draft another quarterback, whether it be, if you keep Justin Fields, another quarterback needs to be drafted. If you keep Caleb Williams, then, obviously we know where they're going to go. But if they keep Justin Fields, another quarterback must be drafted. Competition. I mentioned it before. Coach Dre, I think you could recall, and a majority of you guys could probably recall. I said somebody needs to be there to challenge Justin, and if it's not going to be the coaches, let it be another horse, let it be another player, let it be another guy coming after your job. Let's see if that gets the best out of Justin Fields. It's well documented, the history between him and Justin Lawrence, or Trevor Lawrence. Get somebody to get him another guy to pace him. Get him somebody to challenge him, and let's see if we can't get the best out of him. If not, if you can't rise to that occasion, then obviously he's not the guy. We got about 9 minutes until DDP comes on our Patreon channel. Going to be breaking down Caleb Williams, the Oklahoma tape, chapter 1. Over on our Patreon side. Make sure you become a patron today at www.thetapeneverlies.com. A few more questions here. The question to be asked, or a few more comments. The question to be asked, does the QB carry the team or the team carry the QB? You can pay the former, not the latter. 100% agree, Joseph. 100% agree. Justin Fields, they talk about the wow factor. The wow factor. And it's like, yeah, I see the wow factor every once in a while. We saw it a lot the year before with the legs. But I'm not seeing it enough with the passing game. I'm not seeing, the comfortability. I'm not seeing the dominant game or the string of dominant games. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not seeing the touchdown. The touchdowns is like I'd want to see them. You got a guy like Jordan Love, struggled a little bit in the first half of his first year, and then like we saw him late in the season, he was on fire. He was on fire. I think he only threw maybe one interception on the back 8 of the season. So you're looking for that type of consistency. Justin hasn't done that yet. I'm hoping that the Bears make the most thorough decision that they could possibly make. And that, for me, will be taking this decision all the way up to draft night. Guys, I'm Ivan Vargas. I appreciate you coming out. Make sure you become a patron today to check out DDP. Should be a great show. The Oklahoma tape, www.thetapeneverlies.com. It should be a great show. I'll be there in the chat, chopping it up with you guys. Hopefully, I can see you guys there. Hopefully, you guys, if you're not a patron, become a patron today. Guys, I appreciate you for coming out. I'm Ivan Vargas. You've been watching another Bears show. Eric Washington, Bears' new defensive coordinator. Let's see what happens with this Bears team come next season. A lot of excitement, a lot of question marks. Let's hope for the best for our Chicago Bears.